Started, and people are seeing you. So let me come on over here. Here we go. There we are. Well, Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to Congregation Beth Adam on ourjewishcommunity.org. I'm just checking the sound. Give me a second. There we go. Hi. So, it's different tonight. If you joined us before, I'm sitting on the different side. I'm Robert Barr, and you are?
Abby Schwartz.
Abby Schwartz. And Abby Schwartz is not Rabbi Laura Baum. She's a guest tonight. And Rabbi Baum is not here. Abby's going to help me with services. We're going to have a conversation. And I'm going to, people are wishing you a Shabbat Shalom, too.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
So it's glad you're here. We begin with a reading, and then we'll talk a little bit about ourjewishcommunity.org. So put away the pencil and the paper. Put away the notebook and the keys. Set aside the shovel and hammer rest. For this interval, no buying, no selling, no working, no laboring, no straining, not living in the past, not planning for the future. This is a time for celebration, for joy, for mirth. We are here alive to rejoice in another Sabbath, another opportunity to be together, grateful for our family and friends. With no distractions, we touch and are touched, the great gift of the Sabbath. So those of you who've joined us before know about ourjewishcommunity.org. You know that through the use of technology, we have created this community that literally spans the globe, something our ancestors never could conceive of. They couldn't understand. They didn't have access to the technology that we have today. But ourjewishcommunity.org is far more than just the technology. It's about a modern, contemporary Jewish voice, a voice that says what we mean and mean what we say. We have new insights and new understanding and new approaches to Judaism that is of our generation. And it's incumbent upon us to be able to have a place to give expression to that. So our liturgy that we have created is new and different. Some of you, it's refreshing. You say you hadn't heard words like this before, to know that you can be authentically Jewish and have a perspective that isn't grounded in exactly what our ancestors said, something different and new that brings science and contemporary thinking into it. So our community is based here in Loveland, Ohio. It's part of our bricks and mortar congregation, which is Beth Adam. And it's here we give a voice to ourjewishcommunity.org. So we're glad you're here. I'm delighted that Abby's here. She's going to help do the candle lighting with me, and then we're going to have a conversation about something that's very important. So Abby, do you want to?
Sure.
And there's some matches. The box of matches is the good matches.
On this Shabbat, we create our moment in time. We pause to reflect upon our yesterdays and tomorrows, to renew our ties with our families and friends, to restore our energies, to refresh our spirits. As the sun descends and the shadows lengthen, the direction of the day gives way to the stillness of night. It is time now for us to see not with our eyes, but with our hearts and minds. As the day gives way to evening, it is time for us to welcome the Shabbat. The candles stand before us, waiting to be lit. We recall our ancestors as we too seek to dispel the darkness and banish the cold, to bring glowing softness, warmth, and safety into our homes. May the dancing flames of these candles kindle warmth within our hearts, wisdom in our minds, passion in our souls. Baruch atah Adonai. Baruch ha'or ba'olam, blessed is the light within the world. Baruch ha'or ba'adam, blessed is the light within each person. Baruch ha'or ba'Shabbat, blessed is the light of Shabbat.
Well, thank you for doing that. You've never seen our blessing. And that's part of what our community is about creating new language. And there's a little place you can throw. There you go. We're very safety conscious. It's very important. But part of what we're about, and that's why, and I'm delighted Abby's here, is to give voice to a different kind of Judaism that gives new language to who we are and what we're about. And what we want to talk about tonight is about a very special month. This is American Jewish Heritage Month.
I wish it was called American Jewish Heritage Month.
I thought
the government insists on us calling it Jewish American Heritage Month.
Oh, really?
But I really think that in itself is a wonderful discussion, a debate. Which word should come first? Every major organization that's American and Jewish has the American first.
I've seen it 100 times. I didn't even notice that.
It's JAHM. But anyway, it is the month of May. Yes,
okay, so would you talk? We give it. So sure, you're and how are you? You can slide over a little bit if you want. That way you're in the pictures a little bit more.
There we go. Okay.
That way people see it. So how are you involved in this? And tell us about the month.
Sure. The month was originally declared a federal sort of not holiday, but a federal month of observation in 2006 by George W. Bush. And it came to his attention through mostly the Jewish leadership in southern Florida. They had finally been able to establish a month for the state. And at that point, under the leadership of particularly Marcia Zarovitz, who was then the director of the Jewish Museum of Florida, she was able to get the ear of Debbie Wasserman Schultz and Arlen Specter, so they were able to get it through Congress and the Senate and bring it to the president to create an actual month on the calendar that would recognize the contributions of Jewish Americans to the fabric of American culture and society. And through that effort, eventually some money was raised to create ultimately the idea was to create a website, not nearly as technologically advanced as what you're doing here, but to create a sort of clearinghouse for events and programs that could be tracked and to provide some educational resources that would be online so that communities could celebrate this month. And that original funding came through the Jacob Rader Marcus Center of the American Jewish Archives,
which is located here
in Cincinnati, which is where I live.
That's right. And if you were here last week, you remember we were talking about Dr. Gary Zola's book about Abraham Lincoln. This is all part of the same community and the same research center.
That's correct. And Gary and I have known each other for years, and I was fairly recently or about to retire. When I was retired at that point from my work in the museum world here in Cincinnati. And he asked me if I would be willing to sort of serve as national coordinator for this organization. And so it was under the auspices of the AJA that the first year and the first funding came.
Right.
And so with that funding and with Gary's terrific leadership and the leadership of other organizations for whom American Jewish history is their mission, like the American Jewish Historical Society in New York and the Jewish Museum of Florida and the National Museum of American Jewish History, which was just about to open in Philadelphia.
It's a great museum.
And yes, it's amazing. So the leaders of these organizations, the Jewish Women's Archive in Boston, they were all part of the advisory committee that helped to formulate what I was charged with, which was really to develop this website. So the website is www.jahm.us.
JAHM, American Jewish Heritage Month.
Jewish American Heritage
Month. Jewish American.
Yeah, just say JAM. It's
JAM, that's easier.
.us.
.us.
And so over time, we developed an interactive calendar where people could place events that they were having in their communities during the month of May. It was a great place to go to look at what other people were doing. We created an education and resource page that provides lesson plans and information that people can use to develop programming in their own communities. We created information through something called 50 States, 50 Stories, where we encouraged people from different states to tell us their special stories about American Jews who'd made a difference in their communities. We established Tell Me a Story, which had stories about American Jews from the Revolutionary War to the present who have made a difference, and then links back to these major organizations that have, volumes of material on these American Jews. And in the last couple of years, we've really made an effort to embrace technology, and we have Facebook and Twitter. And what's interesting, what's happened, I've noticed this year particularly, is that while people used to really put their events on the calendar, and we had, at the height of it, probably close to 200 events listed across the country and impacting several 100,000 people because we tracked that information in 2012. What's happening now is everybody's using Twitter. And if you go to our page, you'll see the Twitter feed. And just today, there are probably 10 or 12 entries of things that are happening around the country. So it's in real time.
That's great.
It's really
very
great.
exciting.
So it's very exciting.
Well, we're doing that tonight in the Bricks and Mortar service here. I'm going to talk about this as well, about the American Jewish experience and what it means and why it's so important.
Right. And then the other thing that was so exciting this year is that we partnered with the American Jewish Joint Distribution Committee, and they're celebrating their 100th anniversary. So they were established in 1914 on the heels of the First World War. And they are the premier, to this day, Jewish humanitarian organization on the planet. And so we've started to try to have a theme each year. Again, this came out of the request of people who are using our website and saying, what's your theme? We need a theme, because then we can sort of decide where we want to pull for a speaker and what kind of program we want to have. So because the JDC approached us, our theme was American Jews, Tikkun Olam, American Jews healing the world.
Wow.
So our theme is about humanitarian efforts and, great discoveries in medicine that made a huge difference in our world, and there's so many ways that Tikkun Olam applies. It's it's broad, but it can be specific as well. So that's been a real eye opener, because some of the people that I've learned about who are doing amazing things in Rwanda and helping people who are Jewish and not Jewish. And that's really the message of Tikkun Olam, that we go beyond ourselves to really do wonderful things in the world. So it's a great message.
That's great. I mean, I think it's so important. It's wonderful that it happened. I think it came as the 350th anniversary
following that.
That was the big celebration.
Suddenly it was like, wow, people really are interested in what Jews have accomplished, a tiny 2% of the whole population of this country, and enormous contributions, everything from, the invention of the polio vaccine to...
Which happened here in Cincinnati.
Right, to the invention of the shopping cart. Did you know a Jewish man invented
Actually, I was reading the website, so I do know about that, because I went to the website. The other thing I liked about the website, because it also took you to presidential proclamations. I was reading different presidential proclamations over the years, and I did read that. Would you want to tell that story? Because many of us enjoy actually shopping carts. We find that...
I mean, you just don't even think about that there ever wasn't one.
Exactly. It's so normal. You think, of course, it'd be a shopping cart.
But you think about back in the old days, so when my grandfather had a shop, a grocery store, people came in with their own bags. They were actually very green,
then,
and they carried around their stuff, and then they put it on the counter because the store was small, and then the person would put it in their bag for them. Well, as markets got bigger, and this gentleman who is from Omaha, Nebraska, was working in his father's store, and noticed that people really didn't have a way to negotiate this bigger store with, and he started with basically putting like a chair on wheels, and seeing if that would work. And eventually it morphed into the shopping cart that we recognize. And he went on to have the patent for the luggage cart, the luggage carriers and the luggage with wheels, everything. But the really exciting thing about his story, his name is Nathan Sylvan Goldman, is that he gave back to his community, both the Jewish community and the larger community. And he, a lot of the stories, if you go on the website, are like that, where people did amazing things that, we don't even think about, that we use every day, but they felt this, this urge to really give back to their communities and be philanthropic and do important work in Tikkun Olam. So,
I think that's one of the parts of the Jewish community, Jewish experience in America that we can be proud of, is that sense of being here. I mean, there was great value. I think we tend, those of us for whom modernity is sort of normative, we don't think about it. I don't know that we realize sort of the impact of what it meant to come to America and to be sort of full and equal citizens. The first Jews in New Amsterdam. One of the things that they wanted to do, Peter Stuyvesant, they didn't get along at the beginning.
Exactly.
Peter Stuyvesant wanted to push them out, and I can't think of the burger's name at this point. He was the butcher. I was just reading this, one of actually Jacob Marcus's essays. Dr. Marcus was the great American Jewish historian, and was talking about how one of these first people here wanted to help fight. And Stuyvesant didn't want him to be part of it. He didn't. He wanted to pay taxes, but not. And he said, "No, I'm a full citizen. I'm an American."
Correct.
And that was a transformative, that we got to be full citizens and fully inclusive. And for many of the members of the Jewish community, being a citizen was full participation, giving back, helping.
That's right.
And it's a wonderful story. And it wasn't until really in the 19th century that our community really grew number-wise. We were actually quite small.
That's correct.
Before that. So what other things? I see you have some. It looks like you have like
there were some
props.
There were some really great things that happened this year. I mean, there's specific very Cincinnati-specific events that are happening, which
Right.
I can share or not share
Right.
you. But there were some exciting partnerships this year. Our founding corporate sponsor is the Manischewitz Company, which was itself founded here in Cincinnati. Dov Bear Manischewitz formed the company. And they revolutionized the making of matzah, which is something again you don't think about. I mean, it was originally made round and didn't have any of those dots in it.
Right.
And because they were working at the time when the Industrial Revolution had happened, and there was this machinery that they figured out they could make it in square sheets and score it as it went through the machine, and it revolutionized the making of matzah.
You don't think about matzah as being
Right.
revolutionary. You think of it's like matzah, right?
That's right. So they eventually moved to Newark and Secaucus, some places in New Jersey. But this year we worked with them to create the basic answer to the cereal box.
Oh, really?
So I don't know if this shows or not.
Sure.
But there are 5 different boxes that were in the 5-pound boxes of matzah that feature stories, like fun facts, just the way you would sit at your table and read your cereal box. These tell stories about of Dear Abby, who we all know as Abby Van Buren, but she was born in Sioux City, Iowa, to a Russian Jewish immigrant family. The inventor of the Barbie doll was a Jewish woman named Ruth Moscow Handler.
That's also a Cincinnati connection because Mattel.
Right, that's right.
So we have Cincinnati, for those of you who don't know, and didn't think, Cincinnati, Ohio is little. Cincinnati, it used to be the Queen City of the West, and as a function of it, and it has a lot more per capita, I think, Fortune 500
That's
companies.
true. Well, Procter & Gamble is,
And Lazarus or Federated, Macy's.
Yeah.
So, but I remember the Barbie doll being here.
Yeah, well, the Mattel, it was a company. Harry Houdini was his father was the first rabbi in Appleton, Wisconsin.
And it's interesting, just because I happen to like Harry Houdini. Harry Houdini used to claim to be born in America. He wasn't.
No.
He was not American born. His name was Eric Weiss originally. His father, too, sort of a side story, was not the most successful of rabbis.
Interesting.
No, he was not. He was not. No, it wasn't.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, but Houdini went on to become, who what we know as Harry Houdini, very Jewish and famous.
And he was, he actually worked with Harry Soref, who helped him develop he consulted Harry Soref after failing to escape from a pair of handcuffs. And Harry Soref was the inventor of the master lock in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Yeah. So,
wow.
These
That's
stories are
great. Oh, I love that
these
one. I
stories
didn't know
are
that.
all on here. And, some of them are well known, some of them are less well known. But the other piece of it was that if you read the whole back of the matzah box and you read the side panel, in time for Passover, if you wanted to receive a wonderful booklet of fabulous American Jewish stories about Passover from the rich resources of the American Jewish Archives, you could make a donation to Jewish American Heritage Month, and we would send you this fabulous booklet filled with great Passover information that could be used at your Seder, and these are still available, and you can go on our website and order one. But there's the story about Manischewitz. There's some wonderful stories about early Cincinnati bakery and recipes from that. There's great stories about Confederate soldiers and Union soldiers having Seders during Passover while they were engaged in battle. Some great World War I and World War II and Korean War stories about getting all the stuff to where they were to be able to have Passover. So it's great. These were great to pass around and talk about at the Seder table, and they've been very well received. So just kind of fun stuff that we did this year.
So all of you who are there, if you have a story about Jews in your community, now I know not everyone online, because some people are watching live, some people watch in archives, share the stories with us too, of famous Jews, people who made an impact, or not so famous Jews, because I think what's interesting is, there's the names that we know.
Right.
That we know Harry Houdini's name, because and some people didn't realize he was Jewish, but
Right.
we know that name. But we may not know the maker, the master lock.
Right.
I didn't know that, or
Right.
the shopping cart. And those stories of people who really changed sort of the American experience who were Jewish.
Right. And I totally agree with you. I mean, the stories of the famous people are fun and exciting, but I am so much more moved by the stories of the less famous people,
Right.
and yet their inventions have revolutionized the way we live our lives.
Right.
And every ethnic group in America has these stories,
Right.
and using the month to sort of capitalize on
Right.
that and to be able to tell them. But you bring up an interesting point about people telling us their stories. There's a way to do that on the website where you can submit a story.
Right.
But we have an interesting initiative that's about to happen, which is we are partnering in, which I really can't disclose right
Okay.
now, but
Keep us a hint.
keep it. Well, it has to do with television, and it has to do with telling these stories.
Oh, good.
The press release is going to break on Monday, and we just are very, very excited about additional opportunities for people in communities all over all over North America, actually, to have a chance to tell these stories about the less well-known
Right.
American Jews who have really made a difference in this country. So stay tuned.
That's great.
Watch
Well,
our website.
Watch
We'll
the
be tweeting
website
and
the-
Facebooking about it.
And I want to get it right because I've been getting it.
Jewish American Heritage Month.
Jam.
Yeah.
.us.
Yes, right.
.us because
Yes.
not every website ends in .com and .org.
Right. If you go to .gov, it's a whole different.
Well, there is
there's a .gov. There's a jam.gov website,
Right.
but
Because it is a government.
it is and they're obliged to list the programs that are happening at the National Archives and
Right.
at the major Jewish museums in
I
Washington.
think last year or the year before, President Obama had a reception.
He's
I went,
had it every year, and
Oh,
there's
every
going to
se-
be one this year. at
Okay,
the
because
end
I
of the
saw
month.
I watched the video from last year.
Yeah, he's always done a reception.
And Vice President Biden he had a sort of a controversial talk last year. He was,
yes.
and that's all online, and it's
Yeah.
interesting because it talks about it really is about the American Jewish experience and how we're interwoven and the role Jews have played disproportional to our numbers. I mean, I think that
Exactly.
and he
Exactly.
mentioned that, and I think
Right.
that's why people went, ooh,
Yeah.
they
Well,
both quiver.
There's this sort of, there's always been a little bit of a double-edged sword here because there are a lot of Jewish people who do not want to be in the limelight.
Right, sure.
They feel that it's tempting fate in some way,
Right.
or patting yourself on the back.
Sure.
And I get that. But I also think that what we're trying to do here, and this was Debbie Wasserman Schultz's interest in this when she first signed on to be helpful in promoting the month, was that there's still so much anti-Semitism,
Right.
and that education is our greatest weapon. And if people who are not Jews are given the opportunity to learn about how Jews have been part of the fabric
Right.
of this country from the days they stepped into New
Right.
Amsterdam, that there might be a more tolerant approach. And
And-
so I think that's really the greatest mission of our organization.
Right, and I think certainly this year too, with the shootings in Kansas, it reminds us that unfortunately, anti-Semitism is still real.
Exactly. We can't become complacent, even in a place where we have more freedoms than we've ever had to
right.
accomplish and to achieve.
Right. So I'm delighted you're here. I want to thank you. We can't keep on going. We really keep it. So people are writing in. Education is probably Virginia Holocaust Museum here in Richmond. That's great. And somebody did put the government website. If someone can remember to type in the other website,
JAHM.us.
.us. I can't do both things at once.
Okay.
Laura can do both things at
Oh,
once.
wow. Yes, multitasking.
She's better at that than I am, and she will remind me of that frequently. Well, this is great. We're going to continue with if you'll read the challah reading. It's sliced. For those of you who can't see it, our challah is sliced tonight, which means their service is here at Beth Adam at 8 o'clock. So if you're in the Cincinnati area, I'd love to have you at services. We're going to continue our conversation tonight. I actually have President Obama's recent proclamation that he read, and it raises some very interesting conversations. We just had the big Supreme Court ruling about
right.
prayer prior
parochial in
government settings. We're going to talk about
right.
that and talk about the American Jewish experience. So if you're in Cincinnati, come join me tonight. It'd be great.
As the fingers of the challah intertwine, so do we join hands in our common humanity, sharing the fruits of our labors. We cherish that which has been created through human effort, for it is through the work of our hands, the strength of the human spirit, the vision of our minds, that our dreams are woven into the tapestry of time. We celebrate the accomplishments of yesterday and today, anticipating the possibilities of tomorrow. May the sharing of this challah strengthen our bonds with others who walk upon this earth. Baruch Amal Kapenu, blessed is the work of our hands. Baruch Chazon Ha'adam, blessed is the vision of our minds. Baruch Lechem Haaretz, blessed is the bread of the earth.
Thanks. And then if you have some wine or some juice, join me. We celebrate the fruit of the vine and the bounty of nature as we lift the cup and sip from it. For we are part of nature, which gave us birth and which continues to sustain us. Even as we depend upon nature, so do we influence its course. To the search for understanding, we've gained the knowledge to shape our world. Guided by the best of human wisdom and the compassion of our spirit, we accept the responsibility which rests upon us. May the taste of the wine upon our lips stir within us a reverence for nature and a respect for human endeavor. Bruchim ha'chayim ba'olam, blessed is the life within the world. Bruchim ha'chayim ba'adam, blessed is the life within each person. And so we say, l'chaim, to life.
L'chaim.
So, quick announcements. Check out the website, jam.us. Learn more about this, follow along. Maybe in your community there's some activity that you want to participate in. Let us know. You can go and get some of these resources that are still available. Maybe you have a box of matzah that you didn't finish,
Right.
and you didn't pay attention to what was on it. Go back and see if you have any Manischewitz. Take a look at the other side. See if you can read the story. Those are all good things. Also, always follow us on Facebook at Our Jewish Community. Come to our website, ourjewishcommunity.org. Participate in the discussion boards, the ourjewishcommunity.org. Go to where it says study. There are guest blogs, and there are also discussion boards where you can add your comments so that they stay with us a bit longer. We always like you to do that. You can listen to me on iTunes. I did miss a week because I was moving, but I'm back in gear. I did have one about moving last week. I know Rabbi Baum Laura has some blogs up. So there's all kinds of ways to participate. Follow us on Twitter. Do that. You're getting thank yous. People are thank you for being here with us.
My pleasure.
We're delighted you're here. And we close with the words that we close with every week. May we know blessings those who are near, and may we know blessings those who are far. And may the Sabbath bring its goodness to everyone soon, wherever they are. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
So we're going to wait a second as the feed
Yeah, it's a
goes
little
through.
bit behind.
It's
yeah.
behind, so I'm going to... Okay, that's it.
Very nice.
So 1 second, I can